I'm going to give everybody about a minute to come in and then we'll start. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys that this is our last Wellness Wednesday for the year. We'll be back on Wednesday, January 12th at 1 p.m. Same time, same place, but we'll just be back on the 12th. And today's Wellness Wednesday is brought to you by a post I found at I Am Whole UK on Instagram, and they do a really good job covering the topic of self-neglect. And so we're going to be using their guide. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today's topic is signs that you are neglecting yourself. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're neglecting ourselves because we're so busy, especially as college students, trying to get all of our assignments in, trying to take care of friends, family, that oftentimes ourselves are put on the back burner. So the first sign that you're engaging in self-neglect is saying yes to plans before checking if you're actually available or if you have even the want to go or do these plans. So in the heat of the moment, it's so tempting to just say yes to everything. From lunch plans with that one friend you haven't seen in a while. Absolutely, you want to say yes. Or helping out edit your friend's 10-page paper that's due the next day. Absolutely, you want to say yes to that. Or going to see that one-act play of a friend, even though you already had plans with yourself and you don't really want to go. Of course, you say yes to that. And it's so easy to be caught up in a good mood and wanting so desperately to please others that we end up putting ourselves on the back burner and in positions that maybe we don't want to be in. And I'm really guilty of this. In fact, all those examples I just gave are actually things that have happened to me. And had I just taken a moment to kind of check in with myself and my calendar as well to see if I was actually available, I could have avoided a lot of heartache. And in the case of the 10-page paper, a lot of eye strain from reading a 10-page paper after midnight. So sign number 2, you're pushing yourself past the point of exhaustion without breaks and without rest. This one is especially easy to do as a college student because we're in this culture that kind of glorifies busy and being busy. And what I mean by that is that most of us believe that we have to stay busy and constantly be stressed out about the next thing, the next assignment, the next exam, the next paper, in order to be successful. And that even a moment of idleness or even, mindless enjoyment is a sign that we're going to be failures and we're going to fail. So lots of us, myself included, again, feel that if we don't always have this sense of impending doom with every single thing we're doing and every single day, we're somehow going to be bad students or bad people and we're just destined for failure. And so it's important to remember that that's not the truth. And that you can't even remotely reach your full potential if you're not taking care of yourself and if you're always feeling run down or gripped by this anxiety of failure. The third sign that you're engaging in self-neglect is that you're shaming yourself when you don't meet your own unrealistic expectations. This goes really heavily with point number 2 that we just talked about, which is the whole pushing yourself past the point of exhaustion without breaks or rest. So when you shame yourself for not meeting these expectations, especially those unrealistic expectations that we set for ourselves, you're harming yourself. You're harming your mental health in a way that can be irreparable. And Caps actually just posted about this a week or 2 ago. And we said that some days, even some weeks, your best is all that you can do. And that is 100% true. And that's so important to remember. I can hit you with these old sappy sayings like Rome wasn't built in a day or slow and steady wins the race. But the truth is I wasn't there when they built Rome and I'm definitely not a runner. So those things really probably won't hit close to home. The important thing to remember is that you have to be kind to yourself, even on those days when you feel like you're not at your best. The fourth sign that you're engaging in self-neglect is that you're binge watching TV or scrolling through social media for hours in an effort to ignore your feelings. I can say this without a shadow of a doubt that we are all guilty of this, right? I'll be the first one to say that what I want to do when I get into an argument with somebody I care about or when I have an especially tough or stressful or hard day, the first thing I want to do is just literally crawl into my bed and just scroll through TikTok mindlessly. Like, it's so easy to do that because it's right on your phone. You just click on the app and you're in a whole new world. You have a whole form of escapism. And to a certain point, that can be cathartic. So don't get me wrong in that. But it's when these apps or these behaviors become replacements for actually talking about your feelings and expressing them outwardly or even inwardly to yourself that they can become harmful. Speaking of harmful, this last sign of engaging in self-neglect is one that can be extremely detrimental to your mental health, especially if gone unchecked. So the final sign that you could be engaging in self-neglect is by surrounding yourself with toxic friendships or relationships. And this one is kind of hard to do, especially as college students, because this is kind of the first time that you're getting this sense of real independence. Like, you can decide when you wake up, when you go to bed, what you eat for dinner, if you eat dinner at all, if you even go to class. Like, these are all things that you get to decide for yourself. You have this full autonomy that you've probably never really felt before. But with that freedom and autonomy comes a lot of responsibility, right? The way you're treated, the way that people you surround yourself with make you feel, and the way that you handle messy or uncomfortable situations, that's now up to you, because you are the number one advocate for yourself at this point. You're in charge of making and enforcing those boundaries with people. And you're also in charge of how to handle things if and when those boundaries are crossed. And I know that that sounds really scary, and it is a big charge, but the truth is that nobody's going to advocate for yourself as hard as you will or as accurately as you will. And I promise it does get a lot easier with practice, right? So to end our live, we're going to talk about just some good practices that you can take with you in order to look after yourself to the fullest and in any cycles of self-neglect that you might be engaging in, okay? So one thing you can do is keep an up-to-date calendar so you don't overcommit to events or double book yourself. Another thing is, don't be afraid to say no sometimes, especially if your mental or physical batteries are feeling drained and you really just should not be committing to these events or these things that, you know, either you don't want to do or you just mentally and physically can't do. Be kind to yourself, even on the days when you find it extremely difficult to do so. Those are often the days that you need it the most. Talk about and own your feelings, even if it's not to another person, even if it's just inside, and just honoring those things and saying, well, you know, this made me feel this way, so maybe in the future I can do this. That's really important. So lastly, this one is probably one of the most important things to remember. Don't be afraid to create and maintain those personal boundaries with the people in your life. If they don't respect the clear boundaries that you've set, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself in whatever form that might be. So I hope you guys have learned something from this stream. Again, if you came in kind of late, you can always go back and it'll be posted to our grid. And this, again, is going to be our last Wellness Wednesday for the year. And we will see you again on January 12th. And I hope you guys have a happy and safe holiday break. And we'll see you on the 12th. Bye, guys.